welcome to Horror Movies and Beyond, a show about reviewing horror movies for the living to understand the dead. I'm your host, Ivotres Littles, and this is Shudderary, where we go behind the screens of Shudder original and exclusive movies. Today, I have a really awesome special guest. She's the head critic and content creator for Bloody Disgusting, Meagan Navarro. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. This is amazing to actually speak to you because I seen you around social media and finally get to talk to you and see you face to face. So how you been?
Doing well, and likewise, like seriously, I've been a fan. I've been paying attention to your work. I love the Gabriel stuff that you did that was all over
Thanks.
social media around Halloween. That was amazing. So yeah, how have you been?
Just trying to get out more content, trying a new thing because I was starting to do like movie reviews, but I love interviewing people about their movies and having guests talk about movies, and I feel like that's my niche. And so that's why like Shudderary is bigger this year because I wanted to like really force myself to like, this is it, and I feel like this is it, and I will be continuing on just doing it this way, just interviewing and maybe some movie stuff here, but here and there, but not as a permanent staple as it was before, because I just love talking to people about films. I love people's perspectives.
Yeah, totally.
It's really, yeah, because you'd be surprised, like you would talk about a film and like, oh, it's this way, and then someone would tell you and you just open your eyes. You're like, oh man, I didn't see it that way, and you understand. So yeah,
Absolutely. That's my favorite thing. I think that's like the favorite thing of just being a horror fan is getting to talk about the stuff and expanding like ways to see these movies, because there's probably many reads about this particular one.
Mhm. That is so true. So, yes, your work at Bloody Disgusting. So, tell us, what do you do
What
besides a
do I do?
critic and content creator? Like, expand on that if you
I
would.
do a lot. So obviously, it's like where did it begin? So I obviously review all of the big theatrical releases. Definitely do film festivals and cover all of the genre stuff out of major film festivals. I will back up on the news, so I'll cover a lot of news stuff lately. A lot of editorials and essays. I run Bloody Disgusting's weekly newsletter, the Rewind, so that goes out every Thursday, and it's basically a roundup of the week's headlines and other fun tidbits and exclusive essays. I also co-host the Bloody Disgusting podcast, so pretty much anything Bloody Disgusting related, yeah, I'm doing it.
Girl, do you run the whole thing?
No, that's the impressive part, is like we have a very tiny team, but we all are little machines. Yeah.
Oof, I'm already tired. Man, if you're hiring, I'm not a good writer though.
Aw.
I could tell you a story like hell, like tell you something so amazing, but putting it on paper, it's like what?
Aw.
That it's just something that's, I don't know.
So you're
It's just
like more of
something
an
I've
oral
always,
storyteller.
yeah, it's just something I've struggled with my entire life is writing. It's just something from childhood. It's nothing. I've been to school, I've graduated, I went to college.
Yeah.
Okay, people out there. It's just something, the language barrier for me is really tough putting it on paper. And there's reasons behind that. I had a very, very traumatic childhood, so it development, kind of, those real important parts of childhood development kind of was altered. because of it. So,
Well, I mean, you
I
have
mean,
different strengths. I mean, you're an
yeah.
oral storyteller. That's not something everybody can do. I'm better at writing than like verbal communication. So yeah, different strengths. You got yours. You shine.
Oh, thank you. I wish I was good at writing. I did try to have a blog for a little bit, and I was okay, but to get things out there took so long because it took so much thinking and understanding and what to say that I just decided to do it this way.
And if it makes you happy, then you're doing it right.
Exactly. So, you picked The Dark and the Wicked. Girl. Okay. I don't just to reiterate out there that the YouTubers, podcasters, content creators, bloggers, writers out of film, they choose their film from Shudder. So I just say pick a movie, I watch it, and we go for it and talk about it. So there will be spoilers. There will be spoilers. So if you guys don't want to hear any spoilers, go over to Shudder, check it out right now. Before you do that, make sure you hit like and subscribe and leave a comment at the end of this. And then come back. But if you're going to stick around, okay, well, we warn you. So um, before we get into it, why did you pick this film?
So I picked this one. Really, I kind of had it between two choices, and both were very, very intense picks. And I think because there's so much like fun horror on Shudder, and I think there's a lot to be said for the type of horror that people don't really approach in discussions because they're so dark and they're so intense. And I mean, this is really like a nihilistic movie, and it's also one of the few in recent years that has like actually creeped me out big time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more you watch horror, the less like you kind of get a little desensitized to it, and it's like this is fun and I love it, but I'm not scared by it. But there's something so bleak and kind of evil about this one that yeah, it got under my skin a bit, and I thought that that was worth talking about.
Yes, it did get under my skin. And also, it confused me. I got confused. So we'll get into that.
Okay.
um, so The Dark and the Wicked is a Shudder exclusive, and it came out in 2020. It's an entity that takes over a family in this terrifying new tale from the director of Strangers. And this movie, I was confused. I've seen a lot of films like this, but it's pretty much at the end, it sums it up. Like, even if you're a little confused or you're not understanding, at the end, it usually kind of goes full circle and you understand. That didn't happen for me. And I have to be honest, I was confused at the end. And I, yeah, maybe you're going to have probably do more talking than I do. um, I
You
mean,
know, so here's some background for me coming into this movie. So I
okay.
actually saw this movie first at Fantasia Festival, and that was in 2020. Fantasia Festival happens every summer in Montreal. This was virtually, but in 2020, at the beginning of the year, I had lost my dad to cancer, and it was a
Oh,
quick.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. But a it was a disease, and he got really, really sick, and it kind of happened over weeks that it was this deterioration. And so watching a few months later after burying him, there's something that I can easily connect with. Like I don't know if it would have made sense as clearly as it did if I had watched it like a year before that or 2 years before that. But there was something that I instantly recognized in the signs of, you know, adult children feeling guilt over not being there very often, coming home to be with their mom, stuck caring for somebody that's dying. They're on their deathbed, that they're not really there anymore. They're like just quiet and vacant and dying. And so that made sense to me. Brian Bertino, the writer director behind this, who is
Mhm.
known for, I don't think there's a single happy movie that he's done. I mean, it started with The Strangers, but like you look at every
Mhm.
single movie and it's all like just depressing, bleak stuff. Um, there's no hand holding to it. There's an evil that's set in, and that evil lurks throughout and does some really eerie stuff. And there is really no, it's like once that door was open, you cannot close it again. And so it's just this slow deterioration. Like there's nothing really, I think it's more of a mood movie than a story, because that's
Mhm.
all there is to it. It's literally just a family coming back together over the dying of their father, and that's it. And just dealing with this evil that's taken over the farmhouse. I mean, that's really like all that the plot is. You're just watching this like actual evil happen.
I get what you're saying. The entire mood, um, from the opening. I mean, this lady, um, she's sewing or something. You could tell, like, some kind of craft she's doing, and you hear this weird noise outside where the cattle or sheep, and you see this man laying there struggling to breathe. I mean, it just seems bleak. Like everything is just sad and depressing and dark, very moody. Um, and I get that. And you see
Yeah.
like a glimpse of a creature in the cattle. It was very fast, like because as
Yeah.
you're watching it, it was like it happened so. I didn't want to pause it because the
Yeah.
last time I paused a movie to see what the creature was, it scared the hell out of me.
What movie
And
is that?
that was Z.
Oh,
The
yeah.
part where she's in the tub, girl. I was scared of the bathroom for
Oh
a long time.
no.
So
Oh.
when this happened with the image in the sheep, I was like, nah, I'm gonna just let it go. I'm not gonna, no.
Yeah. Fair.
I don't want to know what it is. But yeah, and then the chair moves, and she didn't seem kind of, I mean, startled by it. It was like she just moved it back. I was like, okay, what is this? Like, what's going on? Because, girl, that'd be the last time you see me. I would leave my husband there, go
Yeah.
get help. And it was like something she was used to.
Yeah.
And then it happened again, and the Luis, I believe it's Luis and Michael, her two kids come over. She was telling them to leave, and it was just so grim. I mean, the farm was grim. I love the shot of the farmhouse because
Mm.
it really gave you open space alone. It really gave you that feeling that they live secluded.
Yeah.
From then on, you get this priest, you have this nurse, you have weird noises and sounds and stuff like that. But before even it get to that far, the mom was chopping, and she just kept chopping. And I had a funny feeling she was going to chop herself. Like I was like, come on, there's something's going to happen. And then you see like a faint image in the background of whatever, you don't know what it is exactly. I mean, there's so much going on in these
Yeah.
scenes, and then she just chopped her fingers off, and then they find her hanging. Um, and I guess the confusion was I was feeling some kind of possession, an exorcism, like
Yeah.
something. But then again, I feel like because he was so sick, I guess the imagery we were seeing is just the despair, the loneliness of
I
her having to take care of her husband, and it manifests over and over that this sickness.
see, it doesn't ever explain exactly how this evil got let in. It just
Yeah.
got let in. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're wrong. I think there is like a possession type evil, and I think it's lurking and waiting for him to die to claim him. And I think it's just tainting everything in its orbit. So like the
Mm-hmm.
things that they're seeing, that's why mom's living there and she's aware of it. And that's why she warns her kids not to come. I think if they didn't come, they would have been fine. They just would have had
Mhm.
guilt the rest of their lives. So they came, and then it's them getting tainted. That's why she ultimately, like, it gives up, like, the despair of this evil. Like, because that's the thing to me that stood out about The Dark and the Wicked. It lives up to its title. It's the one
Mhm.
movie I can think of, when you think of evil is kind of synonymous often with horror, a lot,
Mhm.
everything. It's always good versus evil. But there's something about this movie where the director really makes you feel like this is evil.
Mhm.
These things, whatever it is evil, and it's playing mind games, and there is no magic rule to break this spell. It's just there, inescapable. So yeah, I think that there is an evil possession demon thing. How it
Mhm.
got there, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no explanation. You can't. There's no rhyme or reason to evil. It just is in this movie.
Mhm. Another thing that I noticed that it was doing kind of like a countdown. Like you had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
Thursday till Sunday. And I was like, so is this turned into the ring? Like I was like, because I was like what's going on here? But I think it was just trying to show you the time frame of how everything just collapsed in that house.
Yeah, and how
And that
quickly.
was fast. Like
Very
it just
fast.
happened so fast. Um, I mean, from Monday is I believe is when they first got there. Tuesday is the fingers and her being hung, and then I have Wednesday, um, like strange things about her father, and then the Michael wanted to go, but Louis was like, let's stay. I'm going to stay, to take
Yeah.
care of my dad because that's what mom would want. And it was just an ongoing things that were going on, and that's kind of what I was getting, but it just seemed like trying to handle something you're not sure of, um, especially the magnitude of how it progressed, I think was their own downfall. Especially, um, the doctor wouldn't move the dad, and I'm like, and even I was sitting here like he's dying. Like even if you take him to the front door and he passed away, at least we tried. There was no effort into
Yeah.
that. But then I was trying to think, what is trying to get him? Like, what is it and why? I was, asking more
Yeah.
questions.
Definitely, if you are the type that, like, needs more, because this is not going to explain it. Like,
No.
so yeah, if you need hand holding, not hand holding, but
Yeah.
but if you need, like, any kind of explanation whatsoever, like a hint of a demon name or anything, like, Brian Bertino does not care. He is not. He's not going to explain any of it to you. It's just
Mm-mm.
you are on this grim ride. You are going to get creeped out, and you will probably want to hug a teddy bear when it's all said and done, because it's not a happy movie. And that's it. That's it. It's a lot like, to me, this was a lot like The Strangers in a way, because you don't know these masked people. They just show up, and it's because you are home. Like, that's the whole thing. And it's just them terrorizing this couple over the course of one night, and, like, killing anything that comes in their orbit and torturing them, and they're ultimately doomed. And that's essentially this movie, just the supernatural version, and a kind
Yeah.
of darker, because it's feels so evil and deals with death and guilt and, family dysfunction. So yeah.
Yeah. I really think a lot of this has something to do with guilt because there wasn't any specific name of any entity, but I think they see themselves as okay, maybe they pushed their mom into maybe committing suicide or hurting herself because they wasn't there for her and she was forced to take care of their father alone, and then the guilt they brought him there. um I think a lot of it was in their head of just of things manifesting, and I've seen films like that where you could be so guilty and so consumed by not being there, not being understood, or and not focused, like okay, this is important, not this, that it turns everything upside down.
Yeah.
um I mean, that's kind of because, like, that's what I was kind of feeling like. Okay, I get this. This is nothing but guilt. And then the whispers of whatever is making you do things, but there's really no entity. Is there an entity? It made you question your own sanity. Like, wait, I crazy? Am I this? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It
No, I
really
don't think
does
you're
do
crazy.
that.
Yeah, I remember reading an interview with the director who plays the older brother, Michael Abbott Jr., the actor, was talking about like the reasons he signed up for this movie specifically was because of Brian Bertino and because it's part supernatural horror, part psychological horror to him. Because yeah,
Mhm.
you're right, it is kind of making you question, is this an entity of evil or is this like a manifestation of their emotions? I tend
Mhm.
to lean supernatural, but I think it's both because I think whatever is there, it is feeding and exacerbating those things. I think, I mean, like you were talking about the mother, I don't think the mother was guilty. I think she was just so depressed from losing her husband real time and being the only one to do it. Kind of like that caregiver. Um, I don't know what the term is, but you know, it's like it's so hard to be a caregiver for so long and to do it alone. I think that was what did her in. I think that, you know, anybody who died had some kind of remorse, guilt, even a smidge that thing preyed upon, and it just, yeah. But for the longest time, you're not sure because it frames this through the two grown siblings, like who have no idea what's happening. Why is mom doing this? What is going on?
They were hanging something across, and it had all these like trinkets and stuff like that, even a horseshoe. Everything's for good luck. And it didn't stop whatever was trying to come in, but it was always in it that was kind of another place where the entity would show up. The mom singing, and she's like naked, bleeding. I was just like, oh man. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and it was just walking. And you know what that remind me of, that entity of just walking naked and not stopping and coming at you. It follows.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's where I was watching that, and it just kept coming, and it just walk. I was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't. It was so frightening, and it really did give me that kind of
I think
feel.
I think that's spot on. I think that is a very good comparison because it is like that where you just have to kind of read into it and you know what it might be and why it's there. I mean, they play out totally different and I think it follows is way more optimistic.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe it's Brian Bertino's version of It Follows in a way, just, you know,
Hmm.
all about adult guilt. But yeah,
Hmm.
I also think that this is, you kind of wonder like what is your brain like because it's so much dark material, and this was his farmhouse, this was like a little movie that he had an idea, or his family's farmland, so you know, which is it's a character in itself because that place is creepy, so he probably
Hmm.
thought this makes a great creepy movie and he went full throttle on creepy.
Yes, he did. And it, back to that, it follows. It did kind of have that feel to it, because when he left the farmhouse, um, it still followed.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when he walked in, Michael, I believe the older son, when he walked in, he was like, man, forget this. He almost cut his throat. He was like, I am done. I am out of here. He didn't left his sister. That scene with the sister sitting down on the phone, I felt every word. That was absolutely fantastic acting. I
Yes.
mean, the pouring out, and it was just her brother. Like, you left me, girl. I teared up.
Yes, she is so good in this movie. I
Yeah,
think maybe that's another component to it is like I
yeah,
am fully invested in this family because of these two and especially because of her. She is so
yeah.
like that's devastating. And
I
it's
know.
yeah. Yeah.
Girl, I felt like he left me.
If I were him and I have, spouse and kids at home, would I be like, maybe I need to cut it and leave? I've got another
Yeah,
group to protect. Yeah, I can't fault him for that, even though it's cold.
it was cold, but he
It
kept
was so
telling
cold.
her.
Yeah.
He kept telling her, like, girl, we need to get out of here. No, for dad. If it was me, I would have dragged my dad, last breath and all, in the truck. We're out. Like, I would have just, but then again, whatever is in there is after the dad.
I
So,
mean, it's
yeah.
too
So,
late.
yeah, it's
You
too
have
late.
to.
And then yeah. And then when Michael gets home, that scene was just,
A shock.
I didn't see that coming. I kind of figured out something weird was going to happen, but then again, it was like, well, he's at home. He's not at the place, so why should it travel?
Yeah,
But
but
but it was so it attached itself,
yeah,
and
mom told him from the beginning, like, I told you not to come home. And yeah, I think that one line says that they were doomed from the moment that they stepped foot inside and came home and defied her orders. But
mm-hmm,
you don't really think about that, because in any other horror movie situation, you leave and you should be okay. No,
mm-hmm,
no, we just created a whole new trauma. I
mm-hmm.
not that I think that this movie would ever warrant a sequel, but you have to wonder, is this a different kind of extension? Does the evil now is there some evil in this house now that this tragedy has happened? I don't know. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what a shock.
Yeah, that was a shock, and it was shocking for him too when he realized they weren't even there. I mean, that I was like, that sucks. I was like, damn. Come on. I mean, it's not a laughing moment, but it just felt something on top of everything that they were going through. And even I would have been like, okay, this justifies him, like, oh man, I give up in this world. My wife, my kids are gone. And then at that moment of clarity, clutching his throat, he realized, wait, that that wasn't
I
real.
I did this for nothing. Yeah. It's such a
It,
merciless
it
movie.
feels like The Mist all over again.
Yeah, but at least kids are okay.
Yeah,
So that's like the
yeah,
one kind of bit of optimism, I suppose, in this very like sad movie, is it's like, well, what he took himself out before they got home, and maybe there's no spread, maybe there is, we don't know, but
I know. Yeah, I
they
mean, the mom
lived.
saw. Yeah, she looking like, what's going on here? And
They're
that's
definitely
tragedy.
traumatized. Yeah, it's a tragic movie in every
It
sense of
it
the word.
is a tragic movie, and um, okay, so the priest, I barely recognize that dude.
Yeah.
I barely recognize him. I can't remember his. I usually write down names, but all
Xander
the
Berkeley.
yeah, there you go. When I saw him, I was like, oh wow, and he's such a great actor. And him as that priest was just terrifying. It reminded me from the priest from Poltergeist. I was
Yes,
like,
yes.
oh, okay, or they must be brothers or something, because he just was that scraggly, that eerie. I don't know.
Yes,
I
like,
didn't
you
believe a
shouldn't
word
be
he
here.
said.
Yeah. And then they make
No,
that phone call, and yeah, he was never there,
I was like,
actually.
wait a minute. But then, see, that's why I was like Louise, and then wasn't her name Louise? Like, I got confused. Right there. I was like, well, maybe I don't know.
This
It
thing
was
is
just,
like a mimic at parts.
yeah,
And it's not always clear when it's real and when it's like a mimic until it's like too late for somebody, usually.
yeah. And when she decided, there was something that kept saying, love, love. You need love, love in this family. Love is a strong bond, but I don't think that was it, because no matter how much love I felt from the daughter, Luis, because
Yeah.
she wanted to stay, I wanted to be with dad. It just seemed like it wasn't enough. She even slept in the bed with him.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
see, but
I
the
don't
thing
know.
is like maybe that was the key, and maybe they never unlocked that key because when you think about her headspace the entire time, it's like she was the most devoted and she stayed until the end, but at the same time, a lot of what she was doing was driven by fear and guilt, not love. So I wonder if
Mm,
it's like, you know, that was the key, but it was too late for any of them because they were going with up the wrong path.
yeah. Or maybe it was the key to to help manifest whatever's going on with the dad, because she slept in the bed with him and weird stuff was happening, lipstick on her face, scratches on his neck, um and he showed up at the shower.
So
Girl, I would
creepy.
have ran out of there. I wouldn't be in a corner screaming. I would have ran butt naked out of the
I was like,
house.
I'm out of here. Let's get in the car.
No,
Let's go.
girl, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because at the end it just seemed like, okay, everything was like, gosh, it was just tragic. Um and then it jumps up and get her and she screamed. I was like, well, wait a minute, where the hell did this come from? I mean, after the nurse didn't gouge your eyes out.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
think he finally passed and the demon is like, "Ooh, I have a body now. This is what I've been waiting for the whole time." So, yeah, instead of
but
cuz you look at the
why?
I mean, I think
Why
that's
that body?
I don't know. I think that's the thing is like you have to kind of almost rewatch a couple of times for clues because the I have watched this a couple of times and the impression that I get is that they kind of dabbled in a few things probably at the beginning of his illness. You know, mom dabbled with religion. There might have been some dabbling with some dark arts maybe when he was getting
Mm-hmm.
sick. You kind of have to make up your own backstory a little bit based on the clues, the few clues that you're given. So you know, my theory is that they invited something long before and
Mm-hmm.
mom tried to fix it with the priest that you know came back demonically later, but like he actually existed, he just wasn't anywhere in the picture by the time this movie transpires. So I feel like he, you know, she tried, there's no uncorking that bottle, like
Mm-hmm.
that genie's out. And so she tried instead, as dad's dying and this thing is waiting to claim its payment, uh to keep the kids away at least, and through their guilt and stuff they didn't listen, and therefore it's almost viral in nature. And it's like because everything it's doing
Mm-hmm.
until it gets that body that it probably wanted from before the movie began, it's convincing people to kill themselves, you know, like it's just, this is just havoc, this is the one thing that it wants, everything else is just pure evil chaos in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
So now that it has its body, it can actually kill by
Yeah.
itself, like because that's the first time that, you know, and that's, you know, where it cuts off, but that's the first time that
Mm-hmm.
somebody gets killed versus them killing themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my theory. That's my read on this.
Well, that's a good one. No, 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 because that's a good one. But you're right. I mean, um, they, like you said, could have been doing, dabbling, doing spells into things. And maybe they were doing that because he was sick. Maybe they were trying to find ways to make him better, but it made it worse.
Yeah.
And the payment was the body, but she had to wait until he passed for the demon or whatever to take the body. And that's why the kids had to stay away, because they were already cursed. And
Yeah.
it didn't, because it didn't affect her when she was hearing noises. It didn't really affect her when the chair moved. She didn't really freak out. She just put the chair back. I mean, it was all these things. So they already unleashed, like you said. It was just, which way was it?
Yeah. Maybe
But
they were the threat to ending that curse with love. They just it, you know, they didn't go that way. They went with fear and guilt and stuff. So yeah, I think we're cracking it.
I think so. Not a big crack, but it's one there. Because, I mean, like at the end, like I said, I was a little confused. I was like, how? Why am I confused? And I even wrote notes, and I still was having hard time grasping it. But I think after talking to you, see, this is why I love doing it this way. You find things out. You're getting better understanding about a film, because it's not just, someone has an idea and put it on film and
Yeah,
watch it. I mean, sometimes it manifests into things in our own life, make us understand what we're going through. um,
absolutely.
Especially, you brought up the story about you and your dad. I mean, just it I think if you would have saw this film before, you probably had a different perspective. But understanding what that pain feels to see someone, pass away or passing away, you get the whole the bigger picture of what is being said in that film. And I
Yeah.
think this film has so many interpretations, and that's not a bad thing, because
No,
that's a good thing for discussion.
absolutely. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
these types of movies. Like I like all types of horror really. I'm not even going to pretend. But I like when you can dig into a movie. Like if you and I were to rewatch this 2 years from now, I bet our conversation about it could be completely different. Who
Hmm.
knows what we'd pick up then, you know? But the core thing that makes this easier, like even if you don't know what's going on, it doesn't matter too much if it's effectively scaring you. At least, like for me, like I don't. Have you seen Terrified on Shudder? Like that
Oh
movie.
yeah.
That movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, but it is terrifying, and I love that. So yeah, it's like if you can actually scare me, then I don't know if I need a fully coherent plot as much. I don't know,
Hmm. Yeah.
but yeah,
Well, this movie is really good. It's really great. It does open your visuals, your senses, everything all at once, because you're trying to consume like what's going on.
yeah,
Um, but please check this film out. It's currently streaming on Shudder. It is worth a watch, believe me. But thank you so much, Megan. This was a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, this was a lot of fun. Like, I'm still kind of like, hmm. I know there's other like I want to say no. Okay, see, I'm gonna leave it where we are, because if I keep going, it'll be another hour.
yeah. There's a lot. I feel like there's a whole rabbit hole where we're at the
Yeah,
beginning. But yeah, thank you
yeah. I
so much for inviting me and letting me discuss this crazy weird movie that I feel like I needed to even talk it out a bit. So yeah, next time a
So I
happier
mean,
one. I'll pick a
did
happier
it
one.
change your perspective, like from the first time, and now you're discussing it? Like, did it change anything, or it was like solid how you felt the
I
entire
mean,
way?
I feel like this movie is meant more of like a mood piece, like a feeling versus an actual story. Like you're meant to get the emotions don't change. I still get the same emotions, but I think certain things click differently. Like you comparing it to It Follows, I feel like is a great comparison. So yeah, I think there are
Hmm.
elements that kind of deepen my appreciation, but I still come away with the same, "Ooh, this is a bleak ride" type movie.
So, where can people find you? I mean, just look for Bloody Disgusting, and she's probably the only one there. No, I'm just.
Yeah,
She does everything. It seems
I
like.
do a lot of things, so you probably will find me there. But yeah, I think the easiest thing is at Haunted Meg on Twitter. So I feel like I post about a lot of what I do on Twitter. So that's the easiest. Or Bloody Disgusting. Take your pick.
So, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment at the end of this. More Shudderary videos is on its way. Until then, thank you guys for watching. Bye.